More reactions have continued to trail the federal government's plan to deduct 20 trillion naira from pension funds for infrastructure development. Some economists said the government has no business with the investment returns of the citizens. The federal government in dire needs to chip funds to finance its huge infrastructure deficit, currently at $3 trillion, had disclosed plans to pull 20 trillion naira from pension funds to finance infrastructure. Pension funds appear to be the best source of long-term capital to finance long-term investments like infrastructure development. However, stakeholders have raised concerns about the appropriate utilization of the fund to deliver world-class infrastructure that would benefit the production sector, attract more investment into the country, and translate into financial returns. So,
is borrowing from the pension funds. But there's a whole world of difference between assuming you are the custodian of the pension funds and the federal government. I walk up to you to say, give me 5 trillion. That's different from when those, the federal government floats bonds and then the monies from pension funds are invested in bonds or in government securities or in treasury bills is already happening. So the question whether the federal government is going to take money, they're already taking money.
The fear is if this pension fund, which is meant to be money kept aside for senior citizens who are retirees so that they can have something to keep body and soul together to the end of their life. If government borrows this fund, will government pay on schedule?
Joining me on the news to share his thoughts on this is Dipo Johnson, National Publicity Secretary, New Nigeria People's Party. Dipo Johnson, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thanks for having me. Good evening.
Good evening. Now, yeah, the federal government had promised that the rule governing the access of the pension funds would be strictly adhered to, and it also went on to say that it will not be taken more than the approved percentage. So judging by this response or this reaction by government, isn't that enough to show that the government needs to be trusted when it comes to accessing these funds?
Thank you. The issue, I think, is not the government being trusted or when it comes to accessing the funds. I think that overall, you would see that the stakeholders in the industry, the union of pensioners from different states, the constant thing there is that they have no confidence that when the money or if the money is borrowed, it will be properly managed. And there is this fear that that could lead to problems with retirees further up or in the future. So the thing there is that pension funds are already being invested in bonds, in securities, government securities. Now, have the returns come back from that? Where are you pulling out from? If you want to pull out from the fund. So those are the issues. The stakeholders are unanimous in the fact that they are not comfortable with the federal government of Nigeria dipping its hands into the funds because they feel that government is not well, over the years anyway. And now they feel that government is not to be trusted. They're not saying they won't follow legal means to get it out. It's the management of it and the return of it that is at issue. You see, if Nigerians see that government is doing other things to raise funds, government is cutting its costs, but no one has seen anything like that. They haven't seen it. So the pensioners and stakeholders in the industry are allowed. If you're borrowing here, borrowing here, borrowing here, now if you borrow from us, where are we in the pecking order for the return of this loan.
Well,
That is the crux of it.
at the end of the day, everything boils down to the issue around trust. Well, this is a new administration. Aside from the fact that it is spending monies and there seems not to be enough record or some sort of management in terms of how these funds are being expended. A lot of people feel that these funds, according to what the government has said, will be channeled towards infrastructural development, and that would mean that this project would benefit quite a lot of people. Don't you also think that way in the line of what the government's trying to achieve with these funds?
It will benefit a lot of people. The issue is at what cost? This is Nigeria. And the average Nigerian believes that if that project is 50 naira, it will go out for 500 naira. Is that a judicious utilization of the pension funds? They don't think that it is. So unfortunately, while you say it's a new administration, the people are prejudiced. They have prejudged government because they've seen a lot in the past and they see the rate at which the present administration has gone a borrowing, as we say. So if you're an institution, for instance, and you know that that person coming to you has borrowed from here, borrowed from here, borrowed from here, and is finding it difficult to repay, would you lend to the person? You wouldn't want to. So
but then,
that is the fear.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. But then let's look at it this way. This fund is being borrowed, which means that it will be paid back with dividends. And some people say that, well, they see it as a form of reinvestment, like reinvesting rather, this kind of funds that is to be accessed, and could be a win-win situation for both the government and the people. What do you think?
Fantastic. Could be. Your English is, it could be. You're not, you won't say it will be, it shall be. We're not saying it shall be. And the people whose funds are there, invested, who've been working hard and are hoping to retire soon, they're afraid. They're afraid. In theory, it is all right. But the practical aspect of it now is the issue.
So are you saying that there are no forms of checkmates? We have a legislative arm that is meant to deal or peruse
the
over...
legislative, I'm just, because we're on the news, I want to save you time.
Please.
The legislative arm of government is a rubber stamp arm. Even the last Senate president said, oh, we're a rubber stamp. So, you see, these are the things. The optics are not good. In theory, there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
But Nigerians are afraid. The optics are not good. They're afraid to say, oh, we should be more secure than anything to say our government can take this. You understand? But they're afraid. They don't believe that when it is taken, it will be judiciously used and it will come back at the right time.
Okay. Well, you keep saying that this government keeps borrowing, and we understand. Now, are there alternatives if you're saying that the pension fund should not be touched? Are there alternatives to getting cheap funds to finance the huge deficits currently at $3 trillion? Is there a way out?
I'm not the CBN governor, neither am I the Minister for Finance of the country. I'm a lawyer, not an economist. But I tell you, as I said, people look at what is happening, look at the economy overall. And this government seems to be, I don't want to be attacking, seems to be a tax and spend government. So what Nigerians see at the moment is that they hear, oh, maybe VAT will be increased. Oh, some cyber tax or so that has been suspended. Oh, this, oh, that. They don't see Senate saying that because of this country, what is going on in the country, you understand, we are cutting our costs. No one has heard that. They don't see, okay, maybe I think something like that was said the other day, but look at it. Look at Senegal, for instance. Because of the cost of living crisis, you heard that they've reduced taxes or canceled some taxes for now. They've done this, they've done that. We are not seeing that in Nigeria. Government's take is get as much revenue as possible and spend on this and that and that. Whereas some of us, not an economist, but some of us are saying that we've seen other models where government doesn't take as much from the people. Government tries to reduce its costs. Then it makes it cheaper for you and I to invest. It makes it cheaper. Customs, tariffs, etc. Close to nothing for you and I to come in so that the costs, the inflation will drop.
Okay.
You understand? When that happens, you know, all these things take time. When that happens, then more people can invest. More people will come into the economy. And then the taxes that you've been reduced, you will collect from more activities, more economic activities. And then government has more.
All right.
So then, these are various things that should be looked at. But unfortunately, as I said, on paper, there's nothing wrong with it. But the people have no confidence and are afraid about their life savings being in the hands of government in this manner.
All right. Ladipo Johnson, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Quite interesting and insightful too.
Thank you.
Yeah.